Imagine a place that once buzzed with life, a town where laughter filled the streets and every face was familiar, a place where the rhythm of daily life echoed in the chatter of shopkeepers, the clang of hammers in the blacksmith's forge, and the comforting creak of the church bell. Now, imagine that town, gone, not faded into the pages of history, but erased entirely, no trace left behind, forgotten. In a world that constantly changes, some towns, once thriving, full of memories and history, vanished without a trace, slipping quietly from our collective consciousness. These towns were not abandoned slowly. They were swept away by forces both human and natural, leaving only ghosts of their former selves. But what happened to them? What stories did these towns hold before they vanished? And how did they change the lives of those who called them home? Let's take a journey back through time and uncover the stories of 10 British towns that once mattered but have since disappeared, leaving only memories behind. 1. The story of Tinham, a town erased by war. It's Christmas 1943, and the cold winds of winter sweep through the rolling hills of Dorset. The villagers of Tinham, nestled quietly in a valley, have no idea that their lives are about to change forever. The War Office has decided that this peaceful corner of England, with its green fields and narrow streets, will become a military training ground. In a matter of weeks, the villagers are told, they must evacuate. Imagine for a moment the heartbreaking scene. Fathers packing up their tools, mothers carefully wrapping china and heirlooms in old newspapers, children clutching their favorite toys, unaware of the pain of leaving their homes forever. Families, whose ancestors had farmed these lands for generations, now find themselves fleeing, forced to leave everything they knew behind. But it doesn't stop there. The war ends, and the villagers, hoping to return to the land they loved, discover that their homes will never be theirs again. The military declares the land too valuable to give back. The houses, once filled with life, are destroyed for demolition practice. And so, Tinham, a place that had weathered centuries of change, was gone in the blink of an eye. Only the church and the school remain, standing as solemn monuments to a time and place that no longer exists. Inside the schoolroom, the desks are still there, and on the walls, faded names and lessons are barely visible. It's as if time stopped the moment Tinham was erased, and in that stillness, it remains, a town forever lost to history. 2. Ember, a village that stood the test of time, until it didn't. Ember had a long and storied history. Nestled in the heart of Salisbury Plain, it had survived the plagues, wars, and economic struggles of centuries. For 900 years, the village had been a peaceful place, where children were christened in St. Giles Church and farmers worked the same land their ancestors had. Life in Ember was slow, steady, and enduring. But in November 1943, the winds of change blew in, and Ember, like so many others, would soon face its end. The American forces needed the land for D-Day training, and in a cruel twist of fate, the villagers were given just 47 days to evacuate. What followed was a bitter struggle, as families scrambled to leave the place they had known for so long. Albert Nash, the village blacksmith, a man who had worked the anvil for over 40 years, was found in tears when the news came. He couldn't bring himself to leave the shop that had been his life. The loss of Ember took its toll on Nash. Some say his heart broke the moment he was forced to leave, and he died shortly after. He became the first to be brought back to Ember for burial. Today, Ember remains in the hands of the military, a place where urban warfare training takes place amid the remains of the village. St. Giles Church stands as a reminder, cared for by volunteers who refuse to let the memory of Ember fade completely. 3. The fall of Hallans, a coastal town. Lost to the sea, Hallans, perched on the rugged Devon coast, was a place of beauty and resilience. Its 37 houses were nestled on a rocky ledge, facing the relentless Atlantic storms. Fishing families had lived there for centuries, their lives defined by the tides and seasons. The village thrived in its simplicity, with the London Inn serving its famous white ale and children playing on the beach, collecting shells and watching their fathers mend fishing nets. But in 1897, disaster struck. The Royal Navy needed the shingle from Hallans Beach for a nearby dockyard, and permission was granted to dredge thousands of tons of it each day. The villagers protested, but their cries fell on deaf ears. They watched in horror as the beach slowly vanished before their eyes, and by 1917, the once protected village was exposed to the full force of the ocean. In a single night, a massive gale with 12-meter-high waves struck, and by morning, 29 houses had been destroyed. The village, which had once stood as a beacon of coastal life, was gone. The only surviving house, Elizabeth Prettigon's, stood empty for years until 1964, when she too departed. Today, Hallans is just a memory. The beach has long since reclaimed the land, and the village is buried beneath layers of sand, its existence now little more than a whisper in the wind. 4. Mardale Green, a valley drowned by a reservoir. Mardale Green was a peaceful village nestled in one of the Lake District's most stunning valleys. Sheep grazed on the lush green hills, and children played by the water on warm summer days. The tiny church welcomed its 75 parishioners every Sunday, and life, though simple, was rich with tradition. But in 1929, Manchester's growing population needed more water, and the government granted permission to build a massive reservoir in Mardale. The entire village was condemned, and families watched in despair as their homes were marked for demolition. The church was dismantled stone by stone, its stained glass windows repurposed for the reservoir's draw-off tower. For nearly a year, the reservoir slowly filled, drowning the valley and everything in it. The villagers gathered on the fells above, helplessly watching as their homes, their past, their very identity was swallowed by the rising waters. But Mardale Green has not been forgotten. During severe droughts, the village resurfaces like a restless ghost, its stone walls and ancient bridge emerging from the depths, a haunting reminder of what was lost. Mini call to action. As we reflect on these lost towns, we are reminded of how fragile time is. The stories of these forgotten places are a testament to the passing of history. But what if there are more towns like these? What if there are more memories buried beneath the surface, waiting to be rediscovered? Stay with us as we explore more of Britain's forgotten towns and uncover their secrets. 5. Dunich, a city that wasn't ready to fall. Dunich, once a thriving medieval city, was a center of commerce and culture in East Anglia. Magnificent churches towered over the harbor, and the sound of church bells ringing across the water was a familiar comfort to the people who lived there. The city was a hub for trade, exporting wool and grain to ports across Europe. But in 1286, the first signs of trouble began. Massive storms triggered years of relentless erosion, slowly but surely eating away at the city's once strong foundations. The harbor, the lifeblood of Dunich's trade, silted up, and buildings closest to the cliffs began to topple into the sea. Over the next few centuries, the city slowly succumbed to the waves. The last blow came in 1922 when All Saints' Church, the final landmark of the city, tumbled from the cliff, spilling gravestones and bones onto the beach below. Today, the medieval city lies beneath the waves, the largest underwater medieval town site in the world. The ruins of the Grey Friars Monastery stand as silent witnesses to a once great city that fell off the edge of England. 6. St. Kilda, the island that time left behind. Far off the coast of Scotland, 40 miles west of the Outer Hebrides, lies St. Kilda, Britain's most remote inhabited place. For over 2,000 years, its people survived by harvesting seabirds and their eggs from terrifying cliffs. They lived in isolation, developing their own language and culture. But by 1930, only 36 people remained on the island. The First World War had changed everything, and young people had left for opportunities on the mainland. Tourism brought deadly diseases, and a flu epidemic swept through the island, claiming many lives. The islanders, exhausted by hardship, petitioned for evacuation. On the 29th of August, the last ship departed St. Kilda, and as the islanders sailed away, they performed a heartbreaking ritual. They drowned their loyal sheepdogs, unable to bring them or leave them behind. St. Kilda, once home to a unique and resilient community, was lost forever. Conclusion: the forgotten places of Britain. These towns and villages, once vibrant, full of life and memories, are now gone, faded into the past. Each one tells a story of change, loss, and the passing of time. They remind us that nothing is permanent, not even the ground beneath our feet. The Britain our grandparents knew included towns that no longer exist, but their stories live on, in the land, in the memories, and in the hearts of those who remember. So, next time you visit a quiet town, a forgotten street, or a patch of land that seems to hold something special, take a moment. Reflect on what might have been. Because once we stop remembering, these places are truly lost forever. Leave a comment below and share if this brought back memories of places you visited or places you've only heard of. Because when we stop remembering, history fades away. Relive your cherished memories. Watch our video now and take a journey down memory lane. Don't miss out. Like, comment, and subscribe to stay connected and be a part of this nostalgic experience.